Have you ever wondered why the full moon seems to awaken a certain primal fear deep within us? A fear of the beast that lurks within the shadows? There is something uncanny about the way our hearts race, our palms sweat, and our imaginations run wild when we think of werewolves, isn't there? This universal fear, this sense of dread that transcends borders and cultures, is not a mere product of pop culture. No, it's much deeper than that. It's a fear of the unknown, a fear of what could be hiding in the shadows, a fear of the beast that we ourselves could become. The concept of werewolves, of men turning into beasts under the light of the full moon, has been a part of our collective consciousness for millennia. It's a myth that's been handed down generation to generation, culture to culture, mutating and evolving like a primal virus of the mind. From the ancient Greeks to the Vikings, from the Native Americans to the Chinese, every culture has its own version of the werewolf myth. Each of these unique tales shares a common thread, a deep-seated fear of the beast within us. The fear that beneath our civilized veneer, we are all just animals, waiting for the right moment, the right trigger, to reveal our true nature. This fear, this fascination with the beast within, has been a constant companion throughout our journey as a species. It's been there in our darkest moments, in our greatest triumphs, in our most profound discoveries. It's a testament to our complex relationship with the natural world, with our own animalistic instincts, and with the very concept of humanity itself. And so, as we stand on the cusp of the 21st century, we find ourselves still drawn to the myth of the werewolf, still entranced by its primal allure, still grappling with the questions it poses about our own nature. Now, prepare to delve into the origins of the werewolf, a creature that has haunted the human psyche for centuries. The werewolf is not a new concept, but one that has been with humanity since ancient times. This creature, half human, half beast, has long stalked the shadowy corridors of our collective imagination. The earliest recorded references to werewolves come from the ancient Greeks. They have tales of King Lycaon of Arcadia, who in a bid to test the omnipotence of the gods, served human flesh at a banquet for Zeus. In retaliation, the king of the gods turned Lycaon into a wolf, marking the birth of the first recorded werewolf. Across the sea, in the heart of the Roman Empire, the myth of the werewolf took a different shape. Here, the werewolf was not a punishment from the gods, but a curse brought on by dark sorcery. The Romans believed that these transformations were the result of a spell or curse cast by witches or sorcerers, a belief that would echo through the centuries in European folklore. And let's not forget the Norse sagas, where the fierce warriors known as berserkers were said to transform into wolves during battle, their ferocity and strength amplified by the spirit of the beast within them. From the sun-drenched olive groves of Greece to the snow-capped mountains of Scandinavia, the figure of the werewolf has been etched into the tapestry of human history. Each culture added its own unique spin to the tale, molding the myth to reflect their own fears and beliefs. The werewolf has been a symbol of the wild and uncontrollable, the embodiment of our primal fears and desires. It represents the thin line between civilization and savagery, a line that could be crossed with just one bite. From these ancient civilizations, the lore of the werewolf spread, evolving and changing according to the fears and beliefs of each new culture it touched. As we move into the Middle Ages, the fear of werewolves took on a whole new dimension. During this time, the werewolf was much more than a mere creature of folklore. It was a symbol of deep-seated fear and superstition. Imagine a world where the night was filled with terrors, where the flicker of a candle was the only shield against the darkness, and where the howl of a wolf could send shivers down the spine of even the bravest knight. This was the world of the Middle Ages, a time when the werewolf was seen as a very real and very dangerous threat. The werewolf was often linked to witchcraft during this time. The witch trials that swept Europe were filled with accusations of lycanthropy, the ability to transform into a wolf. This was seen as a demonic gift, a pact made with the devil. Those accused of being werewolves were often outcasts, the marginalized members of society. Their transformation into wolves was seen as the ultimate sign of their otherness, a physical manifestation of their separation from the community. The fear of werewolves was not simply about the fear of the creature itself, but what it represented. It was a tool of manipulation, a way to control the masses. The church and the ruling classes often used the fear of werewolves to maintain order. They painted the werewolf as a symbol of evil, a creature to be hunted and destroyed. This created a culture of fear, where anyone could be accused of being a werewolf, and where everyone lived in constant terror of the night. But it's important to remember that these were times of great fear and uncertainty. The werewolf was a manifestation of these fears, a creature of the dark that embodied all that was unknown and feared. These dark times painted the werewolf as a symbol of the ultimate outsider, a creature to be feared and hunted. In our modern age, the werewolf has taken on a more romanticized image. The snarling beast of yore, once a symbol of fear and superstition, has undergone quite the transformation. Now, in the 21st century, the werewolf has become an emblem of misunderstood passion and forbidden love. This shift in perception didn't just happen overnight. As we moved away from the Dark Ages, the werewolf started to take on a more human form. It was no longer just a mindless beast, but a creature caught between two worlds, struggling with its dual nature. This duality resonated with audiences, and so the werewolf became a figure of empathy, a metaphor for the struggles we all face between our rational minds and our more animalistic instincts. Popular culture played a significant role in this transformation. Literature and cinema began to portray werewolves not as monstrous villains, but as tragic heroes. Novels like The Werewolf of Paris by Guy Endore, published in the mid-20th century, painted a sympathetic picture of the werewolf, a creature more to be pitied than feared. This trend continued and evolved, with modern franchises like Twilight and Teen Wolf presenting werewolves as misunderstood outsiders, often caught in a romantic narrative. Even in video games, the werewolf is not just an enemy to be vanquished, but a character with its own story and struggles. In games like The Witcher and Skyrim, werewolves are portrayed as complex creatures, capable of both brutality and compassion. So why this shift? Perhaps it's because the werewolf, more than any other mythical creature, mirrors our own struggle to balance our civilized selves with our primal instincts. We see in the werewolf a reflection of our own fears and desires, our own struggle to reconcile the beast within us with the demands of society. The modern werewolf is often a symbol of the struggle between our civilized selves and our more primal instincts. And in this way, the werewolf continues to captivate us, to haunt our dreams, and to reflect our own inner turmoil. But could there be a scientific explanation behind the myth of the werewolf? Let's delve into the realm of science and examine some theories that may shed light on the origins of this ancient myth. The first theory points to a rare medical condition known as hypertrichosis. This genetic disorder causes excessive hair growth all over the body, which could be mistaken for the transformation of a human into a wolf. People with this condition in ancient times might have been ostracized, feared, or even worshipped, thus giving birth to the werewolf legend. Another theory revolves around the psychological disorder called lycanthropy. Individuals with this condition genuinely believe they can transform into animals, most commonly wolves. This belief is so strong that they may exhibit animalistic behaviors and traits. Could this psychological condition have inspired the werewolf tales? Let's not forget about hallucinogenic substances. In the past, certain plants and fungi with hallucinogenic properties were used in rituals or consumed unintentionally. These substances can cause vivid and terrifying hallucinations. Imagine a medieval person under the influence of such substances witnessing a fellow villager with hypertrichosis or suffering from lycanthropy. The werewolf myth could easily spring from these misunderstood experiences. Rabies is another disease that could have contributed to the werewolf myth. Transmitted through animal bites, its symptoms include agitation, hallucinations, and a fear of water. Now picture a rabid wolf biting a human. The bitten person develops rabies, begins to act strangely, and the myth of a man turning into a wolf further solidifies. Lastly, let's consider the role of the moon in this myth. The lunar cycle has long been associated with changes in animal and human behavior. The full moon's influence on the werewolf transformation might originate from this observed connection. While these theories may not prove the existence of werewolves, they certainly add another layer to this ancient myth. The lines between myth and science blur, creating a fascinating tapestry of human culture and understanding. So, the next time you hear a howl at the full moon, remember, there's always more than meets the eye. Today, the werewolf continues to captivate our imaginations and our fears. In the ever-evolving landscape of popular culture, this ancient creature of the night has managed to claw its way into the spotlight time and time again. It's not just the hair-raising horror movies or the thrilling TV shows that keep us coming back for more. It's the stories they tell, the characters they portray, and the underlying themes they explore. the werewolf is more than just a terrifying beast lurking in the shadows. It's a complex character that embodies our deepest fears and desires. It's a symbol of the wild, untamed nature that lurks within each of us, waiting to be unleashed. It's a metaphor for the struggle between our civilized selves and our primal instincts, between what we are and what we could become. From the pages of Gothic novels to the screens of blockbuster films, the werewolf has proven to be a versatile and enduring figure. It's been portrayed as a tragic hero, a monstrous villain, and everything in between. It's been reimagined and reinvented in countless ways, each interpretation adding a new layer to its rich and complex mythology. In recent years, the werewolf has taken on new forms and meanings. It's become a symbol of rebellion, of resistance, of transformation. It's been used to explore issues of identity and belonging, of power and control, of love and loss. It's been a vehicle for social commentary, a mirror held up to our society to reflect its flaws and contradictions. And yet, despite all these changes and reinterpretations, the essence of the werewolf remains the same. It's still a creature of the night, a being of dual nature, a symbol of the wild and the untamed. It's still a figure of fear and fascination, a source of endless intrigue and speculation. So whether you're a fan of horror films, a lover of fantasy novels, or just someone with a curious mind, there's no denying the enduring popularity and appeal of the werewolf. Whether as a symbol of our primal fears or a reflection of our own inner struggles, the werewolf remains a fascinating figure in our collective consciousness. From ancient myths to modern pop culture, the werewolf has traveled a long and fascinating journey. This timeless creature, cursed to transform under the full moon's glow, has consistently captured our collective imagination, instilling both fear and fascination. Our exploration began with the werewolf's mysterious beginnings, where we traced its shadowy presence back to ancient civilizations. The Greeks, Romans, and even the early Norse tribes had their versions of the werewolf, each providing a unique interpretation that reflected their cultural beliefs and fears. These tales were often cautionary, warning against the dangers of unchecked rage and the animalistic side of human nature. As we moved through the medieval era, we saw how the werewolf myth became intertwined with superstition and fear. In a time of uncertainty, people found an easy scapegoat in the werewolf, a representation of the unknown and the uncontrollable. The werewolf became a symbol of the darkness lurking within society and the individual, a tangible form for the intangible fears of the era. Our journey then took us to modern interpretations of the werewolf, where we saw a shift in the narrative. No longer just a monster to be feared, the werewolf began to reflect our own struggles with identity and self-control. In literature, film, and television, the werewolf became a tragic figure, often battling against its own nature in a world that didn't understand. The science behind the myth was our next stop, where we examined the possible real-world explanations for the enduring werewolf legend. From hypertrichosis, a condition causing excessive hair growth, to rabies and hallucinogenic plants, we explored how our ancestors might have interpreted these phenomena through the lens of the supernatural. Finally, we looked at the werewolf today, a staple in popular culture and a symbol of our continuing fascination with the line between human and beast. From Hollywood blockbusters to Halloween costumes, the werewolf remains a powerful and enduring symbol, reminding us of our primal roots and our ongoing struggle to balance our civilized selves with our wilder instincts. In reflecting on the werewolf myth, we see a mirror held up to our own fears, beliefs, and the complexities of human nature itself. The werewolf is not just a monster, but a representation of our inner battles, our societal fears, and our fascination with the blurred line between man and beast. Through this exploration, we've seen how this myth has evolved, reflecting the times and cultures that birthed and nurtured it. So the next time you gaze at the full moon, remember the werewolf, a creature that embodies our fears, our struggles, and perhaps a part of our very selves. The werewolf is more than just a creature of the night. It's a symbol of our shared humanity, our shared fears, and our shared fascination with the unknown.